Talking loud and clear, go to akufm.org/donate today and give.
And don't miss 2KG, Mondays live at 3 p.m. on KAKU 88.5 FM,
The Voice of Maui. Annyeong!
In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
KAKU 88.5 FM.
Okay, here we go.
Kahului, Maui.
Quiet, please.
The Voice of Maui.
Do not reflect the views of KAKU, Akaku Maui Community Media, its staff, or board members. Good morning. It's Monday at 11 a.m. I'm Jason Schwartz, and you're here on the Neutral Zone. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many men sold away. And I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and faith. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his face. Pleased to meet you. Hope you get my name. But what you is the we have a little gremlin. He's going to be here. We'll rewire in the studio on the fly. We have a program director and chief honcho here, Shaggy Jenkins. You'll see him coming in and out. But I have a guest here on my show. This is Jason Schwartz. We're on KAKU 88.5 FM radio. Tune in if you're on your phone. Or you can tell Alexa to go to tune in KAKU. I do that at home. We're on Facebook Live, and a little later you'll be on MauiNeutralZone.com. And why would you do that? Because we've had interviews with all kinds of people about issues here in Maui County and the world. And with 2 weeks, well, I guess less, 10 days before the election.
Exactly 8 days.
8 days. I said to myself, you know, this is a show that I don't do things premeditated. I'm very spontaneous in many ways. And I brought on, I thought, guests that talked about issues. We were talking about water and all kinds of stuff. But we have a guest, a political guest this week, someone that many of you, but probably all of you know. Many of you know Mike Victorino. Welcome to our show. Mike is running for the mayor role in Maui County.
Thank you, Jason. It's a real pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. You know, I remember long ago when you had started serving and started running, and you were a new candidate, and you came and we did an interview at your place long ago, and we haven't had a chance to sit like this in probably 15 years, maybe, something like that.
Well, it's been a while.
It's been a while,
yes, sir.
And, you know, I've been places, you've been places, and here we come. We have, this I think is an interesting year, 2018. It was, I can hardly believe it, 24 years ago, I ran for mayor as a Green Party candidate against Linda Lingle, remember her?
Wow.
And Goro Hokama.
Okay.
And my platforms were pretty much the same as I stand on now, and here I am now. It's 24 years later, and you're running. I remember sitting with Alan Arakawa around the pool in Molokai, and there were visions of a future, and we all had a common vision. And I like to say, you know, come in 2020, we hopefully have 2020 vision.
Hey, absolutely.
And we all work together as one, and we're not divided. And the one thing that I know about Mike Victorino is you have been, I want to say, before there was people saying that the people's candidate knew, Michael Victorino was always out there with people and listened. And what I always notice about you is you actually listen. And you, my lady friend Darielle said, you were the only candidate that actually asked for her vote. And she was so impressed with the fact that you're a genuine person who's really there, you know, and you take each moment.
Yes.
What made you think you wanted to run for mayor? I mean, you've been on council, and mayor's a unique role. I mean, I thought, why does Guzman and Ellie Cochran decide they have a seat at the table, of the round table here, and we're all working together. Why would they want to give up that seat to run for mayor? Maybe you can kind of inform me. What do you hope to do as mayor of Maui County?
Well, thank you again, Jason, for those comments. And, I feel that you've humbled me, and that's the way I am, a person that feels that we're here to serve the people of the Maui County. I have lived here pretty much all my adult life, moved here in 1973, but spent many of my summers with my maternal grandparents because my mom was born and raised here in Maui. So I saw the evolution. Why do people want to run for mayor? For me, it's real simple. A continuum of service that I have done for the past 45 years. Whether you're talking back in the days when PTA, Little League, soccer, serving on other boards and commissions, Water Board, School Advisory Council. My years on this island has been mentored around service, understanding the people's needs. Yes, I don't think I can satisfy everybody, but the vast majority of us have a lot of common issues. We want to protect our aina. We want to protect the water. We want to protect the a'aupo'aha systems. You want to protect all of these great parts of our lives. Yet growth is coming. If we did nothing more than just had Maui's deaths versus births, we still have about a 4% increase. We have a lot of youngsters and people leaving the island because they can't afford to live here. So what can we do to make that affordability come back? With housing, with our food, other areas, sustainable. Lifestyle is something I grew up with. We didn't go to the supermarket for food. We had it in our backyard or our neighbor's backyard, and we shared, and we survived that way. And so can that kind of system be recreated? I believe it can be, to a certain degree. We can all work together to make Maui what I believe the Maui we all want. Beautiful, pristine, but yet, have some growth for our residents who want to live and raise their families here.
Well, I like to think we can do all that in one self-sustained, independent way. When I think of what's going on in this election, Mike Victorino wasn't in council, and so I saw the grades being given to candidates that were on the council, A, F, C, G. I don't think there was a G. But it's because of issues. And, when I think that there were candidates reviewed and then they made look like it's a voting block, Ellie Cochran and all these different people. Well, all those different people, I like some of those people. And I hope that the public understands these are individuals. There's no group that's working together. They're not doing things together as a group. If you like Trinette Tritato, or if you like Claire Carroll or Alika, you can still like Mike Victorino. Mike Victorino seems to be, I want to say, we've worked with all kinds of people. You worked at the fair thing. You've been working with all kinds of people from all kinds of stations in life. You can't help but notice when you go down Alamaha that there are homeless people that really need your help right now.
Yes, absolutely.
And there are people that are working that are homeless trying to figure it out. And there's all kinds of answers. In my opinion, the current regime hasn't been open to listening to people in our community that have alternatives, I think. And I think, when I think of you, that's why you're here, because you're not somebody that's hiding behind anything. I mean, putting words into your mouth. But, I have questions. I asked a few people for questions. I thought, when Chivo Johnson talks, he has questions for you, and Brian Perry and Wendy Osher. You have a forum tomorrow night or something.
That's correct. A debate up in Kula. I'm not Kula, actually at King Kekauliki High School. And I'm very honored to say that the National Honor Society students of King Kekauliki, along with Maui News and others, have put up together a presidential debate. a debate that I think we will be debating ideas,
Yeah.
what we feel and where we want to take Maui County.
What is different between you and Ellie Cochran? If I was a person who loved all the values that are embraced by, when you saw the Pono people, we're talking about housing, environment, water, things that I don't think of you as an opponent. Do you think of you as someone who's, what makes you different than Ellie? What is that difference?
It's always difficult for me to speak about someone else and myself.
Okay.
So let's say we leave Ellie as Ellie Cochran, as people know her, and talk about Mike Victorino.
Okay.
Okay? For me, I've said in many of my forums and public appearances, I bring to the table more than 45 years of service to this community. That's my number one thing I bring to the table. Working with all segments. You mentioned the county fair, and that is working with federal, state, county agencies, businesses, nonprofits, in all aspects of our community. The Maui Fair kind of encapsulates that. You know, it's a 4-day event that does so much good for so many groups in this community. I know many of the nonprofits, that is their number one largest fundraiser of the year for them. And so it does a lot of good things for a lot of great organizations. It also gives Maui an opportunity to get back together, to reminisce, to look back, and also look forward. You know, Maui has changed from an agricultural economy to a hospitality economy, right? We've changed. And so we have learned to adapt to it. And for the good and bad of it all, we are now embarking on how we can make all of these groups of individuals to come together to collaborate. I don't like to be divisive. I like to collaborate. I like to work with people. You know that, Jason.
Well, you know, you talk about it like it's different groups, but I keep thinking that if we start from values, that's the reason I call this the neutral zone. Because
Yes.
I'm not political. I
Absolutely.
actually don't care if you or Ellie are the mayor, meaning my values will be the same and I'll stand up for the same things exactly the same. Whether you're the mayor or whether you're the guy that just ran for mayor, you have people that support you and what you are talking about. You're not going home. You're involved in our community.
Absolutely. And let me say, I have a vested stake in Maui County. It's the future of our people. My family members who have lived here for multi-generations.
How did things get out of hand here?
Let me step back. You know, you mentioned about different groups. I think it's different ideologies. It's not a matter of different groups. It's ideology.
But the attacking part is really dangerous.
And it's sad because that's, you know, come from mainland politics, and I see it coming in from outside, coming into our community. I mean, there was a day when we grew up and we had respect for each other. We could agree to disagree. We would vehemently argue our points. But once it was said and done, we went to the same churches, the same stores.
Isn't
we were
that
together.
what we still do?
And we still need to do that. Right. And not have this,
It
you
feels
know,
disruptive to you. It
sometimes-
feels like someone's trying to diminish the community and create us into different groups.
I love what the Ohana feeling has always been in we are one family. We're an island county. We're an island state. And we need to paddle the canoe together no matter what happens. When good things, we work together. When disasters happen, we come together. And we work to make sure we take care of what's needed. And you've seen that both in Lahaina, at the different disasters we had recently, out in East Maui. Also, we saw that on the Big Island when they had the lava flows and the hurricanes and other disasters.
Right.
Kauai, the big rains. We come together as a community statewide, locally, and countywide. And so I really feel we have something so wonderful here, is the Ohana spirit. Always working together, always keeping mindful of the fact that we are resilient and we need to always stay close to each other. My mother-in-law used to have a famous saying. She used to always tell us, love each other, love one another, because with love, you can overcome any problem in life. And if you think about it, that's pretty universal.
Well, that's a great place to come from.
Yes.
I come from the same place.
Yeah, and all of us, no.
Well, some don't show it, but I mean, it gets down to if we come and have an intention to do something that's right to help everyone, great.
Absolutely.
When I hear groups talking about tourism and local as separate, I think we have to really realize we all have the same resources. We're on an island. We have to make balance. The tourism will go away if there's no fresh water, and if all the rooms are filled and the locals can't afford to live there because the prices are too high. The whole thing is going to go crazy. So you are walking into this seat are inheriting a hot potato.
Yeah. And it's not a hot potato.
Well, what, you don't think so, huh?
No, I believe it's something that by collaborating with the community, bringing us together and working our, quote, differences and finding common, sustainable solutions, guess what? We will come back together. We've always never been far apart, but more so now. And let me say it in this other way, Jason. We've had a lot of new people that come here. We embrace them. Our style is always to embrace newcomers, to have them understand our culture with the respect from them that they came here and they understand and learn our culture, just like we'll learn them. We'll learn about them, what they're all about. Respect is something we all earn and work together to get. But more importantly, I think our local values have always been sharing. You go to somebody's house for a dinner or for an event, you always take something. That's the local style.
Sure.
You walk into somebody's house, you take your slippers and shoes off. You never walk in with your shoes, right? That's local value. Various ethnicities that have come here, various cultures have intertwined so much that Hawaii has become the real melting pot of the Pacific. And we have an opportunity to sustain that with our food, with our means of living together, water. I mean, we need to share, but share in a respectful manner. Not it's about me. It has to be about we, all of us, understanding our differences.
You talk like you're like I would if I was making a speech, because you're talking in general, and you do good at this, because I know we share the same values and we have great ideas, but it always gets down to, the nitty gritty of stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's what hopefully we can talk, because we can talk in a comfortable way, because I have like I say, it's not that I don't have an interest. Like it says, the neutral zone, it's anything but neutral. I'm not neutral, but I hope here we can talk about things like when I hear the word Hokama, and I hear the word Arakawa, and I suddenly hear people coming at me and talking to me about what's going on with them and the monies and off island, why are they interested? Then they include your name. Then they have a budget committee thing that's going on with Zortgate. And I have questions that I ask, what do you want to ask Mike Victorino? It's very interesting. People, I think, I have some questions.
Sure, I'd be willing to answer the questions as best I can.
No, I know you. To me, that is what I like about you. That is my favorite thing about you, because if I have a question, you're not going to shy away from my question. No. You're here to resolve this because you're interested in everyone.
That is
I remember
absolutely
when we were sitting at the realtors. I'm a realtor, although I'm inactive at the moment.
Okay.
The realtors were having candidates, and you sat at our table when the GMO thing was going to be voted on, and you wanted the people to vote. I remember very clearly. Absolutely. You very much are, a believer in things, and I like that. And I don't want you being, in my mind, I don't want you being portrayed as the evil one. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that Mike Victorino is controlled by anybody?
Absolutely not.
When you get money, why do they give you money?
They believe in the message. They believe that I will work for all of the people of Maui County, whether you're the little fella or the big company or the landowner. Every one of us have a stake, and I want to make sure, first of all, the little guy is never lost in the conversation. I'm their voice to make sure they never, never lose that opportunity to speak up and have their rights protected, but also looking at how we can work together. So it's important that we look at Maui as a entire county, not just segmented, okay? We're not fragmented. We're a county, and what I want to see, what is Lanai, Hana, Molokai, Upcountry, Lahaina, Kihei, I don't care where we are looking at. We're one community, and what happens in Lahaina affects Makawao. What happens in Lanai affects Wailuku. We all have a cause and effect that we need to always be willing to work together to find solutions.
I don't doubt that even at all, and I know that's in your heart. The problems that we see around this county, I mean, we could go down a list.
Okay.
And
Housing. Let's start with that.
I think that that's a good.
Probably it resonates to the top of everybody's.
Homelessness being a separate category, right?
Right. I mean,
Okay,
housing would
housing.
start. Yeah. Housing.
Affordable housing.
Housing that, I put what I call a price line now. I'm not just talking about what's truly affordable. I'm saying what should be affordable. I'm saying that a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage home, a single-family dwelling, should be $300 less, $350 down, not more, less. I'm saying you can get a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment. If you're renting, it should be $500 to $750, no more than $900 a month. So I incorporate numbers.
How do we do that?
And many of it is possible.
I know it's possible. That's why I was wondering. That's why I asked my original question. Why have things stalled over these years? What is the reason?
I believe there's been a couple of issues that have stalled a lot of our projects and stalled a lot of the what I call development in the sense of true affordable development. Some of it is the fact that we're afraid that we will inhibit or hurt the environment, which I am all for. We've got to protect our nearshore waters, our water systems, our rivers, all of the Aina, and whatever flows through the Aina needs to be protected. We've not done the job I believe we should do. And part of my administration is to make sure that job is completed, that we protect the Aina. How do we protect the Aina? Putting in crops that can grow, that are not inhibitive or invasive to our society, to our islands. That's important. Edible crops, crops that we can live off of.
Now, when you're talking about this,
Yeah.
it's not that I don't respect what you're saying at
go
all.
ahead.
But I know, to me, if I had Ellie Cochran here, she'd be saying the same things, meaning that I want to be able to get past we agree, we need more food, we need to get the water systems better. Do you have any ideas of how to do this? Do you know how to approach, how are we going to deal with an Energia? They're overtime on a contract, $500,000 to the county. People are wondering what's happening with that. There's still emissions coming off, all kinds of lingering questions. I'm hoping that we'll go be transparent on that.
Absolutely.
Okay, and because I've seen things that are 100% renewable that won't cost the county anything. And we right in D.C. had Stuart Stant here. I really like him. I think that he and Mike Miyamoto are really conscientious at what they're doing. Yet I saw Ellie Cochran and them having a quarrel about stuff, And then I see Gladys Bisa. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah, right.
Then she's in the water department. People say, what does she know about water? And then I have all kinds of water experts talking about the injection wells and the sewers and all kinds of, you hear it all.
Yes.
And you as mayor, now you got all these, it's like a million places all happening at once. How are you thinking to unravel this? Are you open to talking to experts and bringing in outside? Like I know, I would have no more building except if you can provide your own water. I've seen systems that take water out of the air.
Right.
I saw them yesterday, 2 days ago. In other words, I've seen things that can treat crops using hydrogen that they get from water. Guy in Kula has a machine.
Right.
That means we need no pesticides. Things that can be really important technologies that we can do in our crops here, grow all kinds of things. do we have any kind of open forums about? I'm really bringing this up to, in some ways, to say we have all the solutions here, but we keep spreading. We can talk about crops that are not inhibitable.
Right.
I understand those things, but are we going to get it together to get an action plan? I mean, somehow I feel like that's what I see. There are a lot of good plans out there, even from like the Pono Network. They have really good ideas. When I was the green guy and I walked up to Goro Hakama running against me and I gave him my platform,
Yes.
he said to me, there are a lot of good ideas here. I'm going to use them. And I said, good. I'm not here to depose you. I'm here to give you things to be doing to make things better. Do you feel you have that quality to be able to do that?
Absolutely. I'm very receptive. You know that. I'm willing
asking
to,
openly.
And I want to make sure that we afford everyone an opportunity to be at the table, to give their manao, to give their ideas. And there are a number of factors that make ideas work. First of all, implementation. Secondly, the economic impact. You know, I want programs that help our community lessen the cost of living here, not something that's going to increase the cost of living here. So I'd be very open to many ideas in this respect. And I have worked with people that are in the hemp community and other communities that really have brought some fantastic ideas forward. And now it's to sit there with them and be very transparent, just like I want to be transparent with boards and commissions. I said, I'd like to make sure that that's open to the public so they can see the various people that apply, so that we pick good people. But going back to what we're saying, experts, I need them at the table to help us, but willing to look at both sides and work out compromises where they're needed.
We're going to come right back to
Sure.
this. We're going to take a break for KAKU. I'm here with Mike Victorino on the Neutral Zone here in Maui. Let's see what's on the sponsor list here.
Can I use the rest?
We're looking for the play button. Are these playing? I'm not hearing it. Is it anyone hearing it? Someone tell me what's going on, would you please? I'm not hearing commercials. Are there commercials?
Oh, push the button on the board. Radio button. KUFM.org/donate today and give. Don't miss the Biscuits and Gravy Show Wednesdays at 11 a.m. 88.5 KKU.
They say that car crashes happen in slow motion. The reality is that crashes happen fast. There's no time to think and no time to check if your child is in the right car seat. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your kids in the right seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Get more info at safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
KAKU, the voice of Maui, is provided in part by
having the guts to go in and just say I go through and I don't care what happens. You know, it aches, and if I fall down, I have no fear of fainting.
Fit or Fatality Gym, personal training and pro-level supplement center, located at 982 Lower Main Street, Wailuku. For more information, call 808-895-2567.
KAKU-FM 88.5.
Have you ever wanted to produce your own TV show? Find out how with Akaku's TV Studio Production course. This hands-on class will teach you everything you need to know about studio production, from set design and operating the cameras to audio mixing and video switching.
The next TV studio class begins on October 22nd, 2018.
So visit akaku.org or call 871-5554 and sign up today.
What up, Maui? I'm Suzanne Kayen, your host of the Maui Zan Show here on KAKU 88.5 FM, The Voice of Maui. Please join me and my incredible guests every Wednesday at 2 p.m. for fun and informative conversation. Sexuality, family, pop culture, music, social causes. We talk about it all with a fresh and forward-thinking twist. The Maui Zan Show, 88.5 FM, The Voice of Maui, trying to evolve.
How's it? I'm Brother Tony from the local show. KAKU is one listener-supported station. That means that all the kind shows you hear, like me, are sponsored by you, the listener, as well as our underwriters. If you would like to help keep the Voice of Maui talking loud and clear like that, go to kakufm.org/donate and give today. And don't miss the local show, Monday through Thursdays, live at 1 p.m. on 88.5 FM, The Voice of Maui.
Okay, I think we're back. I want to thank my present sponsors, themaui.miracle.org, and also Cash for Gold Kama'aina Loan. Mike, did you know that Kama'aina Loan Cash for Gold is my sponsor these past 3 months?
Yes.
And also the Maui Miracle. So you can see, the Maui Miracle is a group that goes through values, and then they lead you to the Pono Network. And so the people that listen to this show, I hope, are interested in values. And when you talk about local values, that's how I know you. I know that you care about everyone, and you want, when you're making decisions, when you're sitting on council and you have to make decisions, some of the decisions that we've seen that are happened, you were here sort of like at the budget committee. What happened there in the budget committee when something was deferred that has big penalty, when those monies get spent? Who makes those decisions? Is that something that you'd look at again and say, maybe I do it different? Or did you control it? Or how did that work?
Well, no one council member controls the council. So let's say we're all 9 individuals who are informed of whatever the circumstances may be, talking about some kind of litigation or something of that nature. And then we are in executive session many times, given more details on what this all means, not only to the individual, the company, but also what it means to the county. And that's important to understand.
Sure.
It's your taxpayer money we're protecting. And I can say in many cases, we made decisions based upon the value and the merit of the case and how we try to award, if we award anything, or we're going to fight it, or are we going to defer it and get more information? So there were many circumstances that led to our decision-making process. So it's not something you come and do overnight. So a lot of people get this feeling that, is the county working for me? I can say the councils I worked on through the 10 years I was there, all of the people involved, and no matter who they were, I can say they were there for your best interests. And I can say I was, and they were all the other 8 members of the committee of the whole, and they had different names of it, policy and litigation and all that. All of us always look for the best resolve of a case that would benefit the people of Maui County.
So I guess I'd say, I want to bring this up only because I know, recently, here you see it in the news, things suddenly coming out here, where Sandy Boz told these guys at the county, at the budget committee, Ricky Hokama and Alan, and I guess and you as part of the committee, but about this case that was $160 million. Then it was probably $60 million, where the timeshare people, there was some kind of fee that they didn't think was fair. They thought it was punitive.
Well, I think, let me clarify that. Alan as the mayor and the rest of the council members were informed of certain, and I cannot go into details because there was executive session that was held, but it was where when a group of taxpayers felt it wasn't fair in how they were being taxed, they challenged us. They went to litigation, they challenged us. And unbeknownst to us and unbeknownst to real property tax, upon looking at the challenges, we found that we had actually, in the real property tax division, they claimed we undercharged them, and then we went after them for retro tax too. And
so,
that's what
I mean, it's the afterburn that I'm really wondering about.
Yeah, well,
about when it's now we have to live with, a large judgment against us, maybe, right?
Well, there has no. Let's say it this way: it hasn't been settled, and I believe we have a very strong case. I think we did the right thing for the people of Maui County.
So, aren't usually monies put aside? I don't know how that works, but I know that became an issue of spending of money that otherwise might have been earmarked.
If real property tax is challenged in tax court or even in our boards in appeal, then about 50% of that is set aside. It cannot be used until the case is resolved. So, and in most cases, we've prevailed, and so, we don't lose the money. But the money set aside cannot be used, and that way that particular sum of money would be available if the judgment was against us. We would have the money, or at least most of the money, to pay for that judgment. I don't see this one or any of the other cases that we've had recently that we have done anything illegal or improper.
No, but so is the money there? I mean, that was the question.
The money's there. The money's there. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you know that there's money.
We've set aside monies for these kinds of issues. And again, I really believe we will prevail. The people of Maui County are deserving of these monies. And I believe we will end up, once everything is said and done, we will be vindicated and we will get what is fair for the people of Maui County.
Okay. So you think that it's been blown up and it's been sensationalized more than anything else?
I think sometimes that happens, but I believe people should know what's happening out there. And I've seen, and let's put it this way, I heard this was going to be released as a press release and all that, and nothing has come out. I mean, the person that, and the group that, really is going after all of us now, they only use my name, Ricky, and Alan. However, it's the entire council that decides on this. So why wasn't other names mentioned? That's fine. It becomes
politicized.
Yeah. So, it's cool with me. I know what is right. And I believe I've always done what is right for the people of Maui County, and I will never back away from that.
Have you looked closely at this Energia thing, this thing going on at the dump for energy and trying to get rid of waste and all that stuff?
I'm not too happy with what's going on, okay? And I'll leave it at that. And when I become mayor, that's one of the first things I'm going to take a good hard look at the whole contract, what it means, where are we? They're 5 years late in getting things done.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I believe there's some definite red flags there. And I would be very, very willing to look at it and say, is this really what we need to go in the direction we need to take?
And you're open to seeing other things, I'm sure.
Absolutely. There's other... I was on that first task force in 2007 that we're looking at how we can take Maui's waste and convert to energy. And I went to San Francisco, a whole Portland, and areas that have done a terrific job, are far advanced than we are as far as getting rid of their and being able to recycle, burning energy, composting energy, everything, the whole.
Well, I was going to say, one of our question askers that knew about the Energia thing is a guy from a zero emissions research situation. There are people that have solutions. There are solutions for water.
Absolutely.
We could build on land that you thought you didn't have to. We can't build there. You have to bring water in. No, you don't. We can create water right here, right out of the air.
Absolutely.
So we can leave the fields as fields.
Absolutely.
What a concept.
Yes.
What about bringing Hawaiian culture back? What about, I'm all over the map, but I'm all over the map because we are a holistic look. This is everything together. I've been talking about the same thing for as long as since I ran the first time. You and I both know that it takes everyone being happy. We got to take down the barriers. I think it's very important to look at Mike Victorino and say, what am I afraid of?
Nothing. You should not be afraid of anything with me.
Nothing. If anything's going on, you're going to listen to it all.
Yes. And talking about our Hawaiian culture, I am in the process now. Part of my plan when I get into office is to recognize all the ahumokus that are around the county. around the state, but more so the County of Maui, and have them have representation on an advisory council that will talk and be dealing directly on Hawaiian issues, cultural, kuleana issues, all of the issues, so that they have a voice at the table. And I think that's one of the things I've heard loud and clear from many segments of our community. They've always been left out, and I want to be inclusive. I know this sounds, like very cliche-ish, but I really am that type of person. You know that. When I was at the fair and whatever, I brought people together. I tried to find solutions that everyone could live with. And for our culture, our Hawaiian culture, who has been somewhat relegated to a far corner of our society, they have to be at the forefront, both for our hospitality industry, for our culture, for our environment, for every aspect of our life in these islands. The Hawaiian culture has solutions and answers that I believe should be brought to the table, and I will make sure that they have representation, and we listen. We take the time to listen to them and to try to use what they bring forward culturally, environmentally, and holistically for our lives, and it'll make us all better people.
Okay. We want to practice for tomorrow. I want to say practice for tomorrow.
No.
I
Yes,
knew I was going to be on with you.
Yes.
And I could talk like this, and I can talk about all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
But I put it out to a handful of people. I put it out to Richard Dan.
Right.
And I put it out to my other sponsors and a couple of people. And I said, you have any questions? Ask. And so one question, one I thought from Dr. Joseph Cohn, short question.
Sure.
How do you justify disturbing Hawaiian burial sites? What's your hit on all that?
I believe we should not be. The challenge there is a lot of times we don't find them because they were never mapped out, or, back in the day, the EV or the bodies were buried, and many of them were buried close proximity to where the villages or where the people lived. And so today, we have disturbed a lot of EV. I can tell you, within our agricultural community, we probably have disturbed a lot of EV. And so I believe we should protect them, and in many areas we should honor them, and if we can, build and maintain that respect for the EV that exists in a certain area, wherever it might be. The problem is we have no maps, we have no real historic premise to know where they're buried. Now, I have heard from some of the cultural practitioners that, we had battles and warriors fell and we buried them where they fell. Okay, now that's another issue. Where was the battle fought? What was the magnitude and area? And there are people that can give you pretty good answers, but no one can be very specific. So it's really difficult if you're going to build in certain areas. Until you start moving dirt, do you find some of these issues? So I would like to mandate a cultural practitioner at all the construction site. It should be an ordinance that makes sure that they're there to see it 24 hours, 365. So long as there's work, they're there to mitigate any change and to stop any construction, so that we will make sure that that EV is properly taken care of and honored and not moved if possible.
And of course, you'd be happy to know about things before any building happened.
Absolutely. And again, if we have people that can tell us.
There was a meeting. The builder wanted to do condos and a medical facility right next to the new high school. And the Hawaiian group came out, and they talked about the water runoff through here at Kalaniakoi and things they knew. They seem to know quite a bit more than the current people that are doing all this. So you're open to hearing more about it?
Oh, absolutely. They need to be at the table to share their manao with us, and so that we can learn and avoid making mistakes.
And I'm sure that when you hear me talking about every new construction must have its own water and its own power, we're going to go in a direction to save. The only way we can save our planet is by using less resources. We can use modern technology and old technology, all mix it. You're open to that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm just really asking because there are a lot of things I've seen and heard that sound like solutions to problems that somehow don't come up. I don't know why. Do you know?
I can't answer.
No, but you've been on council for a while, and then you see new council come. Alan Arakawa calls this the most dysfunctional council he's at. What kind of a way is that to talk?
I don't want to speak to anybody and what they say. That's their kuleana, if you want to use that term.
Right.
I would be working very closely with the council to make sure that ideas that I may have are shared with them, and I want to hear their thoughts on it, how we can collaborate. I mean, I'm a very simple man. One thing I've learned a long time ago, when you get a group of people together, you get 5 or more people together, they have differences of opinion. I want to listen to that, put validity behind of it, put facts behind of it, and then come up with the best sustainable solution. I've said this many times, and I continue to say it. It sounds like rhetoric, but really it is the truth. It's, give me a simpler form to work. How do we work together if we don't work together? If we don't collaborate, how do we achieve anything?
Agree.
You can say it any other way you want, but I truly believe my heart is for the people. The people have always been a part of my life, and I want to continue that.
I see that, and I know that about you, and I don't even have any doubt. I feel very comfortable in that.
Thank you.
And that's the reason you have so much support the way you do.
Yes. Okay, next question. Let's see what somebody else has. Give me another
interesting. There's people that doesn't like the fact that tax collections are illegal, and here's one.
Yes.
Here's one. Do you think it serves the public interest for a politically appointed board to adopt rules relating to administration of environmental laws? Somehow there's this thing that the Planning Commission is getting, that the planning director have even more power to approve things and do special deals with developers. Do you have any opinions on that stuff?
Let's put it in this manner. No one entity should have too much power. I like checks and balances. I think they're important. I'd like to make sure that the council, who has the final say in most of the development, would have the final say in all development. The Planning Commission has gotten powers vested to them, sometimes through the council and through the administrations, and now are trying to, I feel like trying to reel it in and try to be more specific. I feel that you have to have the power by ordinance to enforce law. Or if you're going to enforce a law, that it is ordinance or is like the community plan in place by ordinance.
What I'm really thinking is that they're talking that the planning director will have the ability to make deals with developers.
No, absolutely not. Not under my administration. I would frown. I will work very vehemently. And if I have a planning director that starts doing something like that, that person may not be there very long.
Okay. And so you don't mind having checks and balances and penalties, because there's things about, those are the kind of conversations that are floating around.
Yeah.
And wondering that there are things going on to protect the things that are going on.
We should protect the people that are impacted in any change, whether it's a development, whether it's governmental discretion. We should have a check and balance so that that person or that individual or that family or that community is not impacted or is minimally impacted for that change.
Do you think that back monies that are owed should be paid by real estate developers?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there's like 20 years of you've heard these things.
Yes.
I imagine everyone knows this. So you're going to be working toward
these
enforcement?
deferral agreements have been sitting around for a while. In fact, Joanne Johnson and I, when I was on the council, we worked on getting that stopped and to start collecting, and it's never come together. I know some of the council members right now are working on some ordinances to start getting this back, deferral agreements paid. But again, these deferral agreements were made in areas that need to have improvements. So these deferral agreements can be utilized to improve, like Loa Honapilani Highway, down in Napilihau and those areas, Kahana, to prevent flooding, to have better roadways. But other areas also have that in South Maui and other areas, and I believe we need to enforce our deferred agreements and start working them, especially when it comes to our developers who then sometimes take advantage of the situation. We're going to have to change that, and I'm for that.
Okay. Well, I know. I'll go back to my original first question. You know, I'm a Pono kind of love guy. You know, you might call me from the outside world, but I've been here 30 years, so I figure I'm local now. At least
You've gotten the Kama'aina status, right? You give your license and you get the Kama'aina discount.
Is there anything that I should be concerned that Mike is going to sell us down the river to the good old boys?
There's no doubt in my mind that term does not exist in my vocabulary.
So when I think of you, Jason.
Yeah.
I think of you as somebody who is independent. You've been around, and so you know a lot of people, and so I'm guessing that a lot of people can feel more comfortable with you, say, than Ellie, who is new and has a reputation of being environmental, but they don't know her, so maybe they're throwing money toward you. But if development happens here and they want to do more development of more shopping centers, are we going to start refocusing our workers and getting affordable housing and starting to change priorities? Can you do that as mayor?
Absolutely. And we need to make that our number one priority is housing, rentals, as well as for purchase housing for our residents. Right now, we are crucially short of workers. There are many businesses now who are suffering to get enough workers to work in their business. And so, what are you talking restaurants, or are you talking small mom and pop retail? Even the hotels are struggling to get enough employees. That's why we have the lowest unemployment rate in the state and we're across the nation.
So isn't that funny how they like to tout, we have low unemployment? That's because everyone has to work 9 jobs. And they
to survive, work jobs, to make ends meet. Let me tell you a quick story.
Please.
This morning, I was giving out pastries, coffee, and juice and water to the employees from the various hotels who catch the bus down at the War Memorial Stadium. Okay? There's about 7 buses every day. We are subsidizing that from the county. And then each bus holds 56 people. And all 7 left pretty full. So at least minimum of 50 people per bus. Times 7, that's 350 people not on the road. So even if you divided that in half, that's about 200 cars, 175, 200 cars that are not on the road, and yet our roads are fairly congested. And that this one lady told me, and I've known this lady for almost 20 years. She tells me, Mike, you know I'm homeless. I go, what? Her and her husband both work, but they can't afford rent.
You're right.
They can't afford rent, and they make good money. She told me straight, I make $70,000 a year myself. That's not chicken cheat. That's not minimum wage. But she can't afford rent. Without inventory, how do we bring down the prices? Without enforcing our laws and putting short-term illegal vacation rentals back into long-term rentals, how do we enforce? Well, give them incentives so they come back out of that. We have an opportunity right now for a charter amendment. You know that. And this charter amendment would be stiff penalties, $20,000 up front, up to $10,000 a day. I read an article just in Facebook that this person was laughing, saying, I get $1,500 a day for my rental, and they charge me $1,000 a day fine. Well, we're going to change that here in Maui. And I thank Mike White and those who are on the council who brought this forward and is on the ballot. And I hope people vote for it, because I really believe that's a good tool I have that's that hammer I like to see us have. But saying that, I go back to this lady. But she told me, you know, Mike, I made some mistakes. I'm in debt, but I'm going to be out of debt in the next 2 years. Please, can you make sure housing is available then? I said, I'm going to make housing available now. We're going to work now. We're not going to wait till then.
We need it in huge, huge numbers.
So we have to have a multi-pronged attack. Enforcement is important. Building is important. And building close to their jobs is important. The millennials want to have where they can walk or bike to their job. They don't mind catching a bus to go to their work either. They don't need a car. In fact, if you look at them now, many of them are foregoing cars and doing other means of transportation. So it is my responsibility, government's responsibility, to make those buildings, multifamily units, whatever, available for rentals and make them, first of all, very inexpensive. Like I say, a one-bedroom should be $5,000 to $7,000, a two-bedroom $7,000 to $1,000, a three-bedroom $11,000 to maybe $1,500 max. And that way families can live together, work together, and build their equity. And maybe some of that, I talked about rent to buy, putting some of that rental money aside so that they can get prepared, helping them get prepared. I know the hour is running out real fast.
It's interesting.
Yes. Sorry, Jason.
No, please. No, you're right. I didn't think I'd have any extra questions. I'm going to post this, and I'm going to give this to you. Maybe this will be good practice for tomorrow night with all your questions. The kind of questions people are asking.
Yes, I appreciate that.
The thing that I think is most important, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to talk here, is for you to know that we're all one people.
Absolutely.
And after this election, I don't want to see divisiveness.
I will work very hard to make sure that that comes true.
And I know, again, we're doing this thinking you're winning. Ellie's doing it thinking she's winning. We're all winning when we all work together and we solve these problems. And if you're not in the office, you can still come forward with your positive ideas. In fact, you probably have less hampering you. You can do it in the private sector. And I hope that we can work things, public and private sector, working together in unique ways. Make this happen.
My stool has three legs.
Got it.
Private, public, nonprofits. When all of them work together, we have a very strong community. I believe that. It's been proven in the past, and I believe it exists today. But let me say this. We've had a lot of things said out there, and...
You have 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30
I'll say it in this way. My balanced vision, local values means I include everyone. Everyone's welcome. All I ask is that you are willing to compromise, to work together, to find sustainable, positive solutions that help the people of Maui County. I ask you for your help in that area. Mahalo, Jason, for your wonderful show and allowing me to speak today. God bless you. God bless all the people of Maui. And please vote on November 6th if you haven't voted early. God bless you and aloha.
Thank you for all joining us on the Neutral Zone. The prior views did not reflect the views of KAKU.
The Maui Youth Now Show, focusing on youth culture today.